I started sanding out the fenders on the XL250. Yeah, I'm gonna get back to working on it and get it finished up now that those those cottonwood seeds are like chunks of cotton, but you can see a scratch right there. Yeah, most of it's sanded out, but you know, if you don't have it completely out, it's going to show twice as bad, but maybe 10 times as bad with paint. So you can just barely see it. You can't feel it. But if I paint it, that's going to look like heck. So, and I've been just wet sanding the fender out with 400. So what I'm going to use is this high build primer, and I'm just going to prime this and then re-wet sand it tomorrow. And you can see it states right on the can, flexible acrylic coating for priming steel, aluminum, fiberglass, and plastic. So I'm going to prime just this, let it dry overnight, and then sand just this again until that is not visible, because that will, and there's that and that. The previous owner wiped out, his daughter wiped out, he bought it for his daughter. She wiped out, never rode it again. Then he wiped out, and so they never really rode the bike. That's why it only had 1,700 miles on it when I bought it. I bought it a little over a year ago now. But anyway, I'm gonna get that. Let me get that sprayed some primer on it, and we'll overnight it, give it a wet sand, and then while that's overnight drying, I'll sand the rear fender, and then maybe later in the week, if it's not in the 90s, I'll paint them. If it's in the 90s, I'm going to wait until it's in, I don't want it any higher than the mid 80s when I paint. That kind of hid the scratches. Put about 2 heavy coats on there. I put the first one on, let it dry for about 5-10 minutes until it was dry to the touch, and then I just laid a second coat on. Like I say, tomorrow I'll sand that out. I think that this fender is going to look nice. The underside was just overspray. I might paint the underside the same as this, but mask that metal thing off, just because I think it would look nice if that was left metal. It's actually in pretty decent shape for, you know, being a 51-year-old motorcycle. Yeah, that XL250 is a 74, so it's 51 years old. Crazy, isn't it? But anyway, let me get the rear fender sanded out now. And there we go. The rear fender is ready for paint, all sanded out. That is where a sticker was there for the tire pressure, and it kind of had the paint a little messed up there, so I had to sand it right down to the plastic. And again, I'll paint this side too, just mask the metal off. And there we go. I'll mask those rivets too. So they're ready for paint, other than I gotta sand the primer on that one. I'll do that tomorrow. Let it dry overnight. Today I'm gonna attempt to paint some fenders. Hopefully they come out nice. I don't like painting in summer because of bugs and whatnot. But yeah, both the fenders are, hang that back up there, are ready to spray. I'm going to wipe them down with some wax and grease remover and mix up the paint and start painting. Get the paint all mixed up here, and we'll start mixing the paint up to spray. There's coat 1, just a tack coat, really light. Did both sides just because I think it'll look neater. Anyway, we'll let that tack up a bit, and then we'll blow a second coat on. That is coat 2, and may be the final. We'll see how it looks as it dries up. Like I say, painted the inside too, so it'll give me something to touch to see when it's tacked up. And I see bugs flying around. Hopefully it goes in the zapper and not in my paint. There is nothing in the paint right now, and I want to keep it that way. All right, I'm going to let that tack up and then decide if I'm going to put a third or leave it. Third coat or not. Final third coat. I ended up putting 3 coats on. Came out excellent. very happy with it. Both sides. One bug on the underside. That's why I don't like painting in this kind of weather. If that was on the top side, it would be a mess. So there we go. And that bug I'll pick out once it's dry. It'll mostly come out, but that looks really good. So I'll let that paint dry a few days, and then I'll install fenders on the bike. Get all the taillight bolts and stuff buffed out and get all that stuff back on and the seat on. Then I'll start working on the tank. That's all I got left on this bike now is the gas tank. Installing the fenders. It's looking really nice. Looks nice from the underside too. I'll get a video outside once the bike's all done, you know, a real thorough overall video, but yeah, it's looking good. The rear fender is installed too. It looks really nice. I got to put the taillight assembly on. You can kind of get the picture. It looks pretty darn good. Nice paint match to that color there. In fact, I'd say it's perfect. Doing the buffing on the bolts for the taillight assembly on the XL250. Got to shine them all up so they look like brand new. Got a wire on here so I don't get static shock. I want to do the threads. This thread's up, so this side you see. This takes a while. Just sit here and go to town. Not much to watch, is it? Kind of boring watching buffing. How do you like that? We got the tail light and bracket and everything back on. It's all buffed out, cleaned up. Yeah, it was pretty hideous. And then underneath the fender, you can see the bolts that hold it on are all polished up. Looks good up in there. Yeah, there we go. So the only thing left to do really is the gas tank, and I got to paint the underside of the black on the underside of the seat there. And that'll be no big deal. That'll be the biggest work because I got a bunch of dents in it. But the bike's all together. I can put the gas tank and seat on, take it out riding if I want, but I don't really want to put gas in it until it's done, because I don't want it to gum up and then have to clean the carburetor or something, you know, because I'm not riding it, because, you know, it's a part. The gas tank, if I put it on, ride it, and then I take the tank back off, then I got to drain it, clean the fumes out so I can bump on it. So I'm just going to kind of leave it. And yeah, the bike's looking like brand spanking new. It looks better than new, actually. It looks amazing. Very happy with the way it's coming out. The color match, that blue, is absolutely perfect. Highly metallic paint. Real lot of metallic in it. Really came out nice. Alright, I'm going to end the video here for you guys on this, and I'll continue it on when I do up the gas tank and the seat, which will be pretty soon. I'm going to try and get this bike done before the end of July. I'm going to try. So anyway, that's the next major operation, is the gas tank, and like I say, it'll be finished. So anyway, if you like the video, that like button helps out. Doesn't cost you anything. Just push the button or the thumbs up icon. Helps me out, helps my channel out. And if you like my channel, that 348 engine icon will help you subscribe. And thank you for taking the time to watch my video and all my collection of vintage motorcycles. Yeah, I got a 72, 74, and a 76, and that bike I've had since it was brand new. So anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching.